Right, we're back. We got episode 8, Chitown Lowdown. Got the boys here. We are dissecting what we saw in last night's riveting Monday Night Football game. Guys, take it away.
Yeah, so a couple of the, key factors we were talking about were, getting pressure on Dobbs and mitigating the pressure of Vikings. And I would say Fields was just going backwards a lot of the time. I don't think our offensive line played very well. It was a low-scoring game overall. I think Sweat got a couple sack and a half, I think. So those are some key, what we were talking about. Overall, the game, I thought it was just kind of a stink fest. Bears came up on top. Jesse, what were you thinking?
Yeah, if you look –
I was just going to jump in on one thing that you said, Tom, with the offensive line. I just thought of it. An offensive lineman's absolute worst nightmare has to be blocking for Justin Fields.
Yeah, I don't think he didn't seem like he was stepping up into the pocket last night.
He just did not. Yeah, I mean,
a lot of backwards, just sideways to sideways, just like the offense.
Yeah, time in the pocket's bad, big problem.
Yeah, and granted, Minnesota's D is pretty good, and it just didn't feel like the offense we've seen the last few weeks.
Yeah. No, I agree. Sorry, I just wanted to jump in. I got a goldfish brain, so I would have forgot that point.
Yeah, I think if you look at the offensive side of the ball, we talked about how the Bears had been coming out on the first drive in most of their games and putting together a pretty good drive. And they did that, but they weren't able to finish. They weren't able to finish that drive, and they missed that field goal. But if you look at the first quarter, the time of possession was largely in favor of the Bears.
The whole first half, I feel like we had the ball way more than the Minnesota.
And that led to us having a greater time of possession at the end of the game as well. But I liked what I saw on the first drive. Obviously you want to see them finish those drives and get touchdowns instead of field goals, which was a huge problem last night. Thankfully, the defense played well enough to keep us in the game to the end. And Justin Fields' 2 fumbles in the fourth quarter didn't lead to us losing that game. So offensively, the screen passes are just way too much. We need to trust Fields on that. In the first quarter, they gave him some opportunities under pressure, which we knew was going to be coming, to hit some receivers on some crossing routes and get some first downs. For instance, that 4th and 10 after Cairo Santos had missed the first field goal, and they were kind of right on the edge there, field goal range. Eberflus took a chance and gave Fields the opportunity to get a first down for the Bears, and he did that under pressure. And I think we got to give him more opportunities to do that and get away from these what are considered safe throws, but really it's risky when the defense knows it's coming. And there were a couple opportunities that the Vikings missed last night where they might have intercepted some of those screen passes. But overall, that screen pass game was ineffective, and Luke Getsy has got to be more creative with it's either, he's got to be more creative with the play calling and give Justin Fields the opportunity to shine. And the screen passes just aren't going to get that done. Fields is your best offensive player, arguably next to maybe DJ Moore. And so you got to get those two better chemistry and start working plays specifically designed for them. If you look at the other side of the ball in terms of defense,
before you say, I feel like Minnesota was making adjustments, and like after that first drive, we didn't. Is that did that feel like something that was happening?
Or?
And then the 4th and for our offense, like our first drive we moved the ball. Even the second drive, we moved the ball.
Their defense adjusted to our offense. Our offense didn't adjust to
exactly. Is that is that a fair assessment? Like, I feel like
I think we talked about this in the pregame or in the preview for the Bears game when we talked about how they come out and they script those first couple drives.
Yeah,
that's why it went well, because they knew what they were going to do. Justin felt comfortable with those play calls, and then Getsy's game plan against the pressure was to simply run these screen passes
with Darnell Mooney out there.
And it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
And so looking at the other side of the ball, defensively, got 2 sacks on Josh Dobbs, so that was great. But I do think that there was a lot of pressure that led to him making bad decisions, which in turn led to turnovers. 4 interceptions for the Bears. That's huge. The rookie Terrell Smith played a great game. I think he had 8 tackles, led the team, 8 solo tackles as well. So that is good to know that we have another guy, that knows how to play well. He's physical. He did decent in coverage. I think he had maybe a couple penalties that led to first downs, which was another problem actually on that defensive side of the ball. They gave up, I'm not sure how many it was, 4 or 5 first downs off of penalties. That can't happen. But other than that, the defense played pretty great. And I think moving forward, they need to build on that. Terrell Smith, if Jalen Johnson's going to be gone next year, you might be looking at Terrell Smith and Tyreek Stevenson opposite each other. And honestly, they're not bad players. They're both young. They're going to develop. And they're both really physical as well. So they can come up, they can stop runners, and also obviously help out in coverage. So, overall the Bears win, so we're happy, but it wasn't the best football we've seen out of the Bears this year. So just got to continue, hopefully you have some momentum going into the bye and then fired up to go against the Lions at home.
Yeah. Before your take, Wardo, it's hard for me to believe that we had so many turnovers and didn't capitalize on them and still almost lost that game. I mean, 4 interceptions. Go ahead.
I think it was Luke that said it in our texting group. Unfortunately, you can't be here tonight. But it was like there was an invisible barrier that just went up and teams forgot how to play football at the 50-yard line, pretty much the opposing 50-yard line. So that was wild.
Being in the red zone is one thing. Being on the other side of the field,
there's one thing that happened in the red zone where we had a first down at the 3-yard line. So we were on the 13-yard line, right? And then we had to get a first down, and it was at the 3-yard line was the the marker. And I was like, Savannah, you have no idea. I had to root for this as a kid growing up, as a Bears fan. It's if we had 1st and 10 at the goal line, just run the field goal kicker out there on first down. Just do it. Only thing that's going to happen is you're going to get your guys hurt. And we had that. I actually think we ended up kicking a field goal on that one. It was a kind of a striking moment to me where I was like, oh my gosh, if we get this first down here, that could be great. And sure enough, we didn't, of course. But
what are some things that you thought the Bears did good though?
Yeah. I mean, in terms of what I thought we did good. So, I guess I don't want to miss my point here. I am going to mention one thing that we did bad when there was that 4th and 10. Another thing that I was complaining to Savannah about, and bless her soul, she was just working on her laptop on the couch. And I was like, 4th and 10, we complete that wide open pass to Cole Kmet. And I was like, that is there every time. If they bring that all out blitz and they have 7 guys coming at Justin Fields, they don't have enough defenders to pick up those receivers. So that has got to be there every single time. Every single time that they bring all out, at least. So that was, it was great that we got the first down, but it's it was a bittersweet thing for me, I guess.
Did we get any points out of that drive? I can't remember.
Probably field goal.
Maybe a field goal. It had to have been a field goal.
Things that I thought were good, though.
We are Bears fans, We're be positive here.
I know. Gosh, wow, I'm just looking at all the notes that I took from the game, and most of it was kind of negative stuff. Things that were good. Sanborn made a few appearances out there. For whatever reason, I don't know why Sanborn was on the field with both Edmonds and Edwards healthy. But, I guess you mix him in a few times, and when he's getting mixed in, he's still making plays. I personally like Sanborn. I don't think he's the best player on the field when he's out there, but he has a nose for the ball. It's undeniable. Darnell Mooney got absolutely killed and didn't come up injured when Fields threw that terrible ball downfield. I know we're talking about good things, so it was good to see that Mooney got that. Absolutely.
Yeah, that was a bad throw.
DJ Moore wasn't hurt. on his big catch when he came up limping a little bit. So I was like, oh God, like DJ Moore's hurt, and then he wasn't. So
how about our kicker, guys? I mean,
Santos.
It was a dome, but he missed that first one, and every time after that, I had doubts, and he just, every time just. Really
it was in a dome, so you don't want to see him miss from 48. But he's a great kicker for us. It's been his weak spot, like our not our long snapper, but there were some long snaps that were a little bit high there actually. But like our the Feeney or whatever snapping the ball, it's like that's a problem that we shouldn't have. That was our kicker for a long time, so the fact that we filled that hole, huge, honestly. Yeah. So when he missed that, I was like, he gets that. He gets that one. I'm not mad.
Yeah.
So
let's. I mean, the whole game was kind of just a blur until the fourth quarter. I mean, it was the same thing. Got a couple field goals. Then Minnesota marched down the field. I was like, here we go. Fumbled the ball, marched down the field. Got a touchdown. What did you guys think about Justin Fields? As an overall player, in the fourth quarter, he did some good, he did some bad, but what was your take, Jesse?
I mean, it's another game-winning drive under his belt, and he doesn't have very many of those. I think that was his 7th win in the league and his 3rd game-winning drive, his first of the year. So
7-26.
Hopefully it built some confidence in him, but I'm not sure it's just confidence that is his problem. Like you were mentioning at the beginning with him missing some of the opportunities to step up in the pocket, that he just seems antsy back there, and he's leaving the pocket a little too early. Even when he feels a little bit of pressure, he just needs to learn how to stand tall and keep his eyes downfield so he can see where his receivers are and make a throw.
Yeah.
Yes, he's super athletic, but if you want to be successful in this league and win a lot of games, your quarterback has to be able to make throws from the pocket, and a pocket that might be collapsing. And Fields, I think, has proved that is one of his weaknesses. His time to throw is one of the slowest in the league. It was one of the slowest for all quarterbacks last week. And given the fact about how many screen passes they ran, that tells you that on the plays that were not screen passes, he's holding the ball a significant amount of time.
Good point.
And so there were some interesting play designs where they moved the pocket left or right, and Fields is rolling out, and he needs to understand that he doesn't just need to keep running on those. He needs to settle and get his feet upfield and make a throw rather than try and run outside of every defender before he can get his shoulders square to the line of scrimmage and line up for a throw. Because I think there was one play in particular where Cole Kmet was one-on-one with Danielle Hunter, and it was one of those plays where they moved the pocket outside, and Fields could have easily stepped up rather than continuing to roll out, and he would have had enough time to make a great or have enough room to make a nice, throw with good technique and not on the run, not pressured. But instead, he tried to run outside that block, and it hurried him up even more, and it made him throw that from an off-balance platform. So I like those types of play designs, but he needs to understand where that pocket is, and he's not doing that. So,
and teams know that. And they're bringing the pressure. And
having said that, he did complete like 72% of his balls last night, so you love to see that.
Yeah, no turnovers except for the fumbles. I mean, no interceptions.
So yeah, I mean, I think in terms of Fields' progression, it was a little bit of a regression from what we had seen 3 of the last 4 games, omitting the game where he got hurt. But they still won the game, right? He had the game-winning drive, and I think you got to give him some credit for that. And you still got to trust him through the end of the year, because it's not like we're going to pull this guy right now. He's going to have the rest of the season to prove that he's the starting quarterback for the Bears next year. So hopefully that builds his confidence. He continues to learn. Hopefully Getsy gives him some opportunities to shine, and he gets a few more wins under his belt before the end of the year.
On that, I think Fields must have slept with Getsy's wife or something like that. I mean, he was in his pregame interviews on Wednesday saying, I want to push the ball downfield. One of my best attributes as a quarterback is pushing the ball downfield, making the long passes. I alluded to that interview. I disagree with the statement as a whole. Obviously, I think his best attribute as a quarterback are his legs, clearly. Yeah. But for him to make that statement, and then we go to Minnesota, and he breaks the NFL record for passes at or behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, how does that happen? Honestly, Getsy, I just don't think is mentally there. He's not creative. He's not adapting in game. He's not changing his play calls. I don't know what it is, if he's got something in his personal life, but he is, maybe 20% there in terms of attentiveness to his job. He is just in another world, basically, where he's got to go. He's got to go.
Is he always been like that? A sideline to sideline type of offensive coordinator that, doesn't take risks? Because I don't really know his background.
He was Aaron Rodgers' OC, right?
I believe so.
Aaron Rodgers versus Justin Fields. Aaron Rodgers will tell you to go F yourself if you call something that he doesn't want to run. He'll call something else in the huddle. Fields, I don't know. I don't know, Tom.
Yeah. Well, my take, unacceptable. Fumble twice.
You gotta go.
You can't do that, period. And I think I saw there's still growth. He still has time to show what he can do this year. But last night really hurt my confidence in bringing him back next year. I don't know really or not drafting a quarterback. It's just so I'm just back and forth, man, right now after the last couple games. And I can't imagine what the head of the Bears, what they're going to do or what they're thinking right now. But 2 fumbles, unacceptable. Great pass at the end there. That was big time.
Rocket.
That I was like, yeah. And then, just to clinch that game. But yeah, it was we won. Bears, we won, so that was good. I did want to bring up. I texted you guys our defense is playing so good.
Oh.
What do you guys think about moving Eberflus to the defensive coordinator and hiring another head coach? Would that be something that is possible? You think he's just he wouldn't do that? I don't know. I was just thinking.
I don't think you can take the head coaching job away from Eberflus and ask him to stay on as the defensive coordinator. It just doesn't make sense. I think whoever they bring in as head coach is going to have a say in who's running the offense and running the defense.
That's true.
But to your point that the defense has been playing better, it sure has. And, we've gotten guys back from injury, which I think has really helped. And, we're healthy and we're playing a lot better defense than we were in the first half of the season. So if we can continue to force turnovers, which I think starts with the defensive line, even though they only got 2 sacks on Josh Dobbs, they were putting pressure on him, which is what led to those interceptions. And
out there.
Those were good play calls by if Eberflus is calling those plays for the defense, bringing some pressure, and then I think on the pick Jalen Johnson had, that was zone coverage on the sideline, and he kind of hawked that ball and baited Josh Dobbs into that, which was a great personal play, but good play call there. And then I think it was 1 or 2 of the interceptions off of tipped balls, through the hands of receivers. Yeah, so you can't really blame Josh Dobbs for those. At least the Bears players were in the right spot and were there quick enough to be able to make those plays. But the defense is heading in the right direction, and I think they'll be good next year, whether if Eberflus is in Chicago or not. So,
one thing I did, we talked about the trenches. I I think just based on the eye test watching the game last night, we were pushing their O-line back like a lot into Dobbs. And it wasn't even like we were beating him. We were just overpowering him. So that was good to see. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, you like the splash plays as well, right? Like those are exciting. You get to see the defender come and, do the crazy dance and everything after the fact. And like, yeah, as a fan, how could you hate that? But I was noticing the same thing, Tom, where it's like as soon as the ball snapped, I mean, in pass protection, your first step is back as an offensive lineman. But even with that being the case, I feel like, yeah, like you said, we just made that a very congested area. And obviously, forced him to make some mistakes there.
Yeah. And our, secondary was, covering well enough that he couldn't get it out fast either. So that was overall great, great to see by the D, as we've seen the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to the bye week. Honestly, I always love watching football and, not having the stress. Like down to, I think I texted in the group where I was like, we might have given them too much time here with the way that we finish these games.
Yeah.
I mean, I was stressed until the final whistle blew, and then my heart rate was still elevated for the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, I couldn't go to bed last night. Those late night games, that's why I like the 12 o'clock, games, not prime.
Tom can be in bed by 8.
Yeah, dude.
His normal bedtime.
I was like, oh, this isn't me, man. I was tired today.
Yeah, nice. I mean, that pretty much does it in terms of the post game. Obviously, a lot of stuff happened, but go over every single detail of a 10 to 12 football game might not get the most eyeballs on YouTube. So I think we can probably end it there, unless you guys had anything you wanted to add at the end.
No,
enjoy your bye week, Bears fans.
Yeah, and stay tuned for our picks of the week coming up.
Joe Buck was he was betting on the Vikings so bad. That was a terrible call by Joe Buck.
We don't like Joe Buck.
No.
Oh, God.
Lindy was like, who is this guy? And I was like, it's Joe Buck.
Joe suck.
Oh, my God. Oh, and then Troy Aikman's call after Jalen Johnson's missed interception, the second one that went off his hands. Something to the effect of, we are going to talk about it. He'll be mad about it. He'll make a social media post about it, and then we'll all talk about it and forget about it the next week. Troy Aikman.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
But we'll close it out there. I asked you guys if you had anything to add, and then it was just me. But
yeah, just
cool.
Yep. Yeah.
Wrapping it up. We'll try to do a pregame here for Sunday, get our picks in and everything. But hopefully Luke can make it out to that one. We missed him tonight, and hope everybody has a good rest of your week.